I'm Rose O'Connor. I'm the Deputy Director of REL Mid-Atlantic. And this is my partner in crime, Gabriel Hartmann. He is our Excel macro expert, and he is really the star of this show.
No, you're the star.
I just get to present, and he does, you know, really the heavy lifting at this point. Now, for data dashboards, I was talking to my colleagues here, Nancy and Colleen, saying that data dashboards really, it's kind of a misnomer for what we have here today. It's really an automation process. So for those of you who do a lot of report writing where you have a lot of data, and you have to put data into tables, charts, all that kind of fun thing, this automation process, this macro that Gabriel helped create, is going to be the best thing for you. So first and foremost, I hope you all have the flash drive. You were able to download the Excel file and the Word document. For those of you, I hope you're able to download that. I'm just going to keep going. So basically the agenda for today, we're going to talk a little bit about dashboards. And what we're doing here is paper and pencil. We're not talking HTML. We're not doing online dashboards. And then I'm really going to get into the heart of the matter, which is the automation process. We'll do a quick demonstration, and we'll talk about the four-step process, designing your dashboard, putting bookmarks into Word, basically, organizing the data in Excel, and then running the code, because the code is the macro, and that's what makes all the magic happen. Now, with dashboards, think of a dashboard in your vehicle. What do we mean by a dashboard? Think of your car. You've got your fuel gauge, you've got your speedometer, so when you're driving down the road, you don't get pulled over. You've got that most important check engine light, you know, when that red light comes on, you know, take it, go get it serviced, don't want to be stranded anywhere. What that dashboard does is it gives us a snapshot. It lets us know performance, the performance of our vehicle. And in education, we do the same thing. We want to know the performance of our schools, our students, our district, our IU, our state. And that's where dashboards can come in and be handy. The education dashboard, this is more of a recent phenomenon, and I know that there were a couple of exhibits about dashboards, probably had a couple of presentations about some of those big dashboards. And it's just another tool in the data analytics toolbox. There's a lot of information out there about best practices for dashboard design, and this is really in terms of looking at online dashboards, but we can take the same principles and apply them to a paper pencil. So in terms of a dashboard, let's say you have to do a one-pager or one or two-pager on the schools in your IU, your district. You have to present the most relevant information. That would be your snapshot, your dashboard, your performance indicators. Here's a couple of examples. On your left, that's the Maryland Department of Education. That's a sample of their dashboard. And here, this is just a report that we can consider a dashboard. And you can see we've got tables, we've got figures, we've got some information. And with the tool that we're going to share with you today, you can populate that. You can populate that across the board for all your schools. If you're in one school and you have multiple classrooms, across the board. You can do it annually. If you have annual reports, I know a lot of you have annual, quarterly, you name it, you report it. So these are the dashboards that we're going to talk about, paper, pencil. Now, I want to just give you a quick demonstration of the automation process because I just think this is so cool. But I have to come over here and click play. It doesn't work from over there. All right. So let's say we have to create 34 matching reports with all this information. Look at all that data. That's quite a bit of data that you have in this Word document. If we go to the Excel file, we look at all our pieces of data, our data points. And in this one Excel file, you probably have files that are much bigger than this one. You've got over 100 pieces of data. Now, how would we typically create that Word document? Copy and paste method. Wouldn't that be so much fun to sit there just copy and paste? Tedious, right? What if I told you that we could create those 34 reports in less than 2 minutes? Would you be interested? I feel like one of those salespeople. Here's our completed dashboards folder. See, it's empty. There's nothing there. So what we're going to do through the wonders of macro technology, we're going to click this little Create Reports button. And abracadabra, what's going to happen? It's going to start populating our reports. Using VBA code, Visual Basic for applications.
Very good.
Thank you. What's going to happen is Excel is going to do the cutting and pasting for you. It's going to go into that Excel file and start populating. Just going to start grabbing those pieces of data. Look at it go. I just think this is so cool. But you can see it's going. It's populating it. It's just taking it from your Excel file and dropping it into that Word document. That's all it's doing. Just it's cutting and pasting for you. You don't have to do this. So you see as it goes here, how many files do we have over there? How many items?
15 so far.
15. Look at that. A minute. It's going. And it just keeps on going. So in 2 minutes, this will be done. So how many of you are interested in this? How many of you would like to do this?
All right.
All right, you're thinking of all the cutting and pasting you do every day, don't you? Woohoo! Annual report time. So now what the macro has done for us is it took that tedious task and just made it happen. The wonders of technology. Now what we're going to share with you today is a tool. Now you're going to see this Excel file and you'll see the Word document, but you can use anything you have. This is just for illustration purposes. What you can do is use something that you have. If you have a report that you use every year, through the magic of Bookmarks, now you get to bring your data over. You can drop your Excel file, your sheet of data, into our template, and it'll work. So nothing really difficult on your part. We can make it work. So before we get started, please make sure you have these, because we're hands-on, former educator. Have to learn by doing. So if you have this REL project.x, it's a template file. And we're going to give you the opportunity to create your own template, because if you can use tables in Word, you can do this. You can create a template. Anything's a template. The data file, the Excel file, and then you have a handout, quick and dirty how-to. And the good thing about this macro and the wonders of Gabriel, it works on both a PC and a Mac. Mm-hmm. So we made sure that you can use it. And what's the caveat for the Mac?
So certain versions of Excel for Mac do not have Visual Basic for applications. So Excel 2011 for Mac is the best one to use. It has the most support.
We'll talk a little bit about designing a dashboard. Now, as I said before, a model could be anything you have. If you have tables that you populate every year, if you have charts that you populate, anything is a dashboard. It just shares performance, a snapshot in time. So first step is designing your model. Here, you start with a blank page, like an Excel blank page, and then you just fill it in with data. So here, what you can see is just a couple of charts. Set these up as tables, so you can make it as pretty as you want to, whatever you want it to look like. And that is your model. And remember, you could use something you already have. Now, in data dashboards, there are a couple of principles you want to adhere to, especially when you're working on the online versions, but these are also applicable to paper and pencil. You need to define the purpose. Why do you have this dashboard in the first place? Who's your intended audience? If you're designing it for teachers, we're going to cut back a little bit on some elements of the data. Maybe if it's for a superintendent, you're going to add more. If it's for a parent in a school, you really need to think about, well, we don't want data overload. We don't want to scare people. We just want to provide the most relevant information. And that leads us to designing the structure. So what do you want this really to look like? It's all contingent on you, what you want it to look like. And then you decide how you want to display the data. Do you want tables? Do you want charts? If you're going to do charts, are you going to do histograms, line graphs, pie charts? What data is really relevant and necessary to include in your dashboard. You decide on your layout, number of pages. Remember, you can do this in a report. You can do this in a 140-page report. If you have tables and charts that fall into this report, you can still use this macro. Are you going to break this out into sections? As I said, tables, charts, what do you want to do? And you can use whatever you have. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Now, I give you the option. If you would like to create your own dashboard, we can do that. How are we doing for time, Gabriel? You're my timekeeper. You can create your own quick and dirty dashboard. Or you can use the document that's on that flash drive that you downloaded onto your computer. So I give you the option. Because really the fun part is going to start when we get to the automation process. So if you want to create your own, notice this links to the Excel file. So the demographics, if we're going to create this dashboard for parents, and it has demographic info, race, ethnicity of the student body, special education status, EL status, and test scores in reading and math, because everyone wants to know what are the test scores. And you decide on your layout. How do I want this to look? So you know that would be the data pieces that you have. How do I want to showcase this data? How is it going to tell the story, tell the information? So if you want to create it, you can. If not, we have it for you. So I give you the option. You want to move forward? We can move forward. How are we doing for time, Gabriel? Plenty of time? I'm going to get them into the automation process because I enjoy that. The automation process is adding bookmarks. Now I'll ask all of you here. How many of you have ever used mail merge in Word? Oh, a lot of people. This is mail merge on steroids. This is taking basic mail merge and really pumping it up. So, you know, when you use mail merge, you go to your Excel file and it drops in your addresses or your email addresses if you have that set up. It's the same thing, except this is going to create tables, is going to create charts, is going to bring the charts over for you and drop them into the document. So this is our step 2. We're going to create a Word template and just add bookmarks. So here's our model dashboard, and if we have this model dashboard, what you need to do to add bookmarks is look at any data element that is going to change from report to report. So it may be annually, it may be across schools. And you would look at all those pieces. What is going to change? Where do I need to add my bookmarks? And you would either highlight it or circle it if you have a paper copy. So that's why I say go with what you have. If you have a report that you're doing, what's going to change each year or across your different groups? Before we can do anything with adding bookmarks, we need to show the bookmarks because it's not a default in Microsoft Word. So you need to get Microsoft to show you your bookmarks. So we'll show you how to do this in PC and in Mac. So the first thing you need to do is you go to the File tab, scroll all the way down to Options, and you click on Options. And don't worry, I'm not going too fast for you because it's also on the handout. That's PDF file, so everything's there. You can always go back to it. So once you do that, this Word Options dialog box is going to pop up, and you click on Advanced. And once you click on Advanced, you have another box that's going to pop up, and you need to scroll all the way down and just make sure that Show Bookmarks is checked. That's how you do it in a PC. Now, if you're working with a Mac, you have to make sure that you go to your Preferences, and the Word Preferences dialog box will pop up, and you're going to click on View under Authoring and Proofing Tools. And this will pop up another dialog box, and you just make sure you click on Bookmarks. And that will just show the bookmarks in your document. And so when you do that, your template will look like this. So you'll see the different they look like eyes, except for student name, but that's when we're talking about adding bookmarks. It's just brackets around the data element. So this just shows you that you have bookmarks in your document. Now, how do we do this? Adding bookmarks in Word. You've probably seen this. Insert tab, and you go to Bookmarks, and then you have the Bookmarks box pops up, and then you add the name of your bookmark. And the thing that you can do, if you have a data file that you are already working with, as long as the name of your data element matches your bookmark name, you're good. So you would want that name to be identical to what's in your data file. That's what it's going to do. It's going to pull that piece. It's going to pull that data element. And Gabriel can attest to my psychoses. It has to be identical to the way it is named in the Excel file. We're talking capitalization, spaces. It has to be identical. I had a space before the bookmark name, and I'm, Gabriel, it's not working. The macro's not working. And he looks at it, he's like, oh yeah, Rose, you put a space in the middle. There's spaces in there. You need to delete that space, not work. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's just one thing. If you're working in a Mac, make sure you're on the print layout. That's important. So your view print layout. You go to Insert, scroll down to Bookmarks, and the bookmark pops up. You type in your bookmark name, whatever it is, and then you click Add. And your bookmark is there. And here's just the summary of it. You know, this is everything that is in that PDF file that we shared. So adding bookmarks in Word, you know, in your document, where do you want to add your bookmark? Where do you want it to be? You click where you want to insert it on the Insert tab, click on Bookmark, and then type in your name. Same with Mac. Make sure you're on the print layout. Put your cursor where you want your bookmark to be. Insert, bookmark, add the name. You're good to go. That's pretty much how you do it. So I have a little video to show you how to do this, inserting bookmarks, because there's a couple of ways you can do this. So here we're highlighting our name of our charter school, and we're going to insert the bookmark, and we're going to name this school name, truncate it so it matches the data element. And you see how the little brackets showed up? Or you can just insert it, delete the data element that you have, just insert your bookmark there. And then just name this here, we'll call it grade. And you just add it, and there it is. See, it shows up like a little eye. It's the two brackets come together. So it's just showing you where the bookmark is. And here's our file with bookmarks. And that's what it would look like. And there's all our bookmark names. Just please, as you go through, write them down. Make sure they match. Otherwise, you will have a Rose moment. And you don't want to have a Rose moment. You want it to function smoothly and efficiently. Last thing, very important. Please be sure to save your Word document as a template file. So when you go into Save As on your PC, bless you, select Word template. Same here in your Mac. So .x file, that's what it should look like. It should look like a template file. Any questions about inserting bookmarks? Yes?
So these bookmarks just point to something in Excel later on that we're going to get to. Is that the idea?
Yes. Yes, that's what it's going to do. So whatever data element you need. So you can have a data file with 100 pieces of data, but if you only need to include about 10 of those in your report, you can set it up just to take those 10. You don't have to include everything. So, any other questions? All right, let's try it. Now it's your turn. So, now we learn by doing in this place. What you see here are 10 data elements, and these are going to be in the Excel file that you also copied and put onto your computer. And in parentheses are the bookmark names. So these match up directly to the Excel file. So what we had when we did this as an online, we had people who were changing the names and then saying, hey, this isn't working. No, you have to put them as is. They match. This is how they work. So if you'd like to, you can just go through and add the bookmark names for each of these 10 data elements. And I think if you have the Word template that we provided for you, just go in and add the bookmarks. I'll give you some time to do this. We learn by doing here. So now we're going to talk about, there's a certain way the file needs to be set up for the macro to work. And so with the macro, our data file should have 4 sheets. And you can see the names on the bottom. There's a setup sheet. You have the actual data sheet. You have the chart sheet, and then you have the code info sheet. So these are the 4 sheets, and I'm going to go through these with you so you can see this. Here's the setup sheet, and here's just what the blank setup sheet would look like. You need to have 3 columns. Bookmark name and column are really critical to use the macro. We have the third one, description. I don't know if you're like me, my fellow data people, but we could have about 10 different names for one data element, so you want to make sure you're getting the right one. You may name something over and over again. So it just gives you a description of the data piece that you're pulling. The bookmark name is, remember, we need to match this explicitly to that Word document, what's going to drop into that template file. And the column number is, Excel has alphabet at the top. So here we get into numerics. So, and that's part of the macro, correct, Gabriel?
Yeah, it just wants you to do a little bit of the work for it.
Yeah. So here's our data sheet. Hard to see, but you can see that we've got our columns. They're all numbered. So we can see right here in row 1, you've got name. That's your bookmark names as you go through. In row 2, this is the description. Row 3 would be the column number. And then row 4 is where the data actually begins. And that's important to know where the data begins because the macro is going to need this information. When we get to that code info sheet, you need to remember where that is. So here's a data sheet comparison to the setup sheet. And you can see if we look at HW, that's our homework average. It's in column 5. And when we look on row 12 down there of the setup sheet, you see HW, it's written the same way. 5, and then homework average. And for those of you who know how to copy and transpose, so if you're working with your data, you can just do that. Copy, and then paste and transpose, and it'll come right down here. So you don't have to write it all up. So that's why having some Excel experience works. Right, Gabriel?
Yep, always helps.
Feel like doing this? You want to make it happen? You want to make the magic happen, the automation process? For those of you who have your laptops, if you want to fill in those bookmark names, they will match what's in the template file. We made sure of it. They'll work. And the column number where the data is that we'll replace. And it's easy. It's a simple transpose. Copy, paste. They'll just drop it down. Chart sheet. Okay, here's one. That's the third tab on the Excel file is the chart sheet. And if you create your charts in advance, you can just have it dropped right into your Word document. You make it pretty, make it look the way you want it to look, size, all of that. You do it in advance, and you can drop it in. The macro has its own little quirks here. Remember, each chart has its own unique name. Were you aware of that? So if you're talking about a certain school, or in this case, these are student grades, so teachers could use this too. We have a data dashboards for teachers. So with sample progress reports, so you can go to our REL minute. I'm pushing it, Teresa. I'm pushing our website, REL Mid-Atlantic, we have all the templates there as well. But the unique chart name, this is going to really, it's part of your data file. So when you create your charts, remember which chart is going with which data piece. And you could see chart 20 in that chart underscore. Now that's another thing with the macro, Gabriel, you need to have chart underscore. That's the way.
Yeah, any bookmark that's associated with a chart needs to have chart underscore and then a description. So that chart underscore tells the macro, I'm not dealing with text anymore, I'm dealing with charts.
And so by seeing that, it will go and copy that chart. So if we're talking about the first actual row of data, which is 4, where your data starts, and we want a quiz chart dropped in for that particular student, it's chart 1, so it would drop it in. So when you do the charts, unfortunately, you have to do them in advance. You know, that's where it makes life easy. You know, a lot of times you can just create the nice chart and then you can just edit data. So you can just select the other data pieces, copy it. That's pretty much how that works. And then the last sheet is the code info sheet. And really, remember what I told you? You only need to know where the data starts, row in which data starts. In this case, it's row 4. And that's all you do. You type it into the pretty pink box, and it'll be ready to go. Any questions about organizing data in Excel? Just to recap, you need 4 sheets. The first one is your setup sheet. This is going to tell the macro where it goes into the template file. The second sheet is your data sheet. You can bring it in from whatever data file you're working with, whatever Excel file you have. If you're working with SPSS, you can always save as Excel and bring it in that way. The third sheet is the chart sheet. This may be one that you have to create. So you could just add a sheet, add your charts, and just be sure that when you go back to that data sheet, if you want charts in there, make sure you know the number of the chart that goes with that each row. And just set it up, your bookmark name with an underscore. Now all of this is in our little how-to guide. We should have these PowerPoint slides available for you all. You can go back and use that as reference. You can always contact Gabriel or myself, and we have our email addresses are at the end of the presentation. This is the fun part, running the code, the last step. We're going to run the macro. First thing you need to do, and you probably saw this when you opened up the Excel file, you need to enable the macros. So that's the first thing. If you're working with a PC, just click Enable Content. We promise the macro will not hurt your computer. If you're working on a Mac, enable macros. This will get the process started. Then you need to run the macro. Remember, you add your row number where data begins. You add that to the code info sheet. You click on that Create Reports button, and all the magic happens. Once you do that, you're going to get a pop-up window. It's going to ask you, select your Word template. So you pick the template that you're working on. In this case here, it's REL project docx. So there's our Word template. This is the version in PC. This is what it looks like if you're working with a Mac. It'll pop up, and you just select that Word template file. After you select the Word template file, you choose it, you're going to get another pop-up, and it's going to ask you, well, where do you want to store it? Where do you want these completed reports to go? Because you may be working on a shared drive, and you can send them there. It'll go to the shared drive. So it can go there. So you just select the folder where you need it to be. Go find your folder where you want it. You can create a folder. In this case, I'm not very creative. It says completed dashboards. There it is. And this is the PC version. And there's our Mac. That's the automation process. Once you do that, any questions? Let's make it happen. If you've been working on this all along, if you haven't, that's okay. I'll give you the files. You can do it on your own later. Just fill in that last code info sheet, put the data file the data, row of data beginning, and then run the macro, click create reports. And hopefully, it'll work. So Gabriel, this is where you're on.
All right.
This is where you earn your money. And it will create. Some more resources on dashboards, Excel basics for those creating charts. You're not. And then here's a little bit on macros, and we'll have the slides available. Teresa, we're going to put these on our website. Put these on our website. And thank you for joining us this morning. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us.